The latest in Ukraine, where Kyiv says it is sending in reinforcements to the eastern city of Bakhmut. The city has been the site of the longest and bloodiest battle between Russian and Ukrainian forces since the war began last year, and much of it lies in ruins. For Moscow, taking Bakhmut would be a step towards seizing the rest of the surrounding Donbas region. And for more on this, we can cross to our Kyiv correspondent, Gulliver Cragg. Gulliver, what's the latest on the ground there in Bakhmut? What's happening there right now?
Well, the latest information I have is that some aid workers and even at least 48 hours ago, some journalists were still able to go in and out of Bakhmut. But the two roads that are still usable by the Ukrainians into and out of the town are clearly within very close range, actually, of the Russian positions, if you look at the map, and are coming under constant fire. So the pressure is increasing on this city. I remind you that the pressure has been very high for months now. It's been under attack on the ground since August, and that attack intensified in December. A lot of people in Ukraine did not expect the city to be able to hold out as long as it has, and that means it's become a great source of pride for Ukrainians. But the current situation, with the city being encircled in a horseshoe shape, if you look at the map by the Russian positions, has led to people asking whether or not it's worth hanging on. The Deputy Defence Minister, Hanna Maliar, said in an interview today that the decision about what to do in Bakhmut was taken absolutely only by the military command, and it was not a political decision. But the reason she says this is because there are some suspicions that political decisions have influenced the Ukrainian armed forces staying there in Bakhmut because of its symbolic value, with some people questioning the real strategic worth of staying there. But I just heard on the radio one of the Ukrainian commanders in Bakhmut who managed to find time to give a radio interview, which was a little bit surprising. And he was saying, look, there is a strategic and tactical value to being here because of the losses that we are still inflicting on the Russian armed forces. Although they have made advances around Bakhmut, which they're clearly trying to surround, by the way, rather than enter at the moment, every meter that they take from the Ukrainians, in the words of this commander, costs them literally hundreds of lives.
And while all eyes are on Bakhmut, arguably a much more important strategic target for the Russians is the town of Volodar, southwest of Donetsk. What's the situation there?
Yes, absolutely. Vuhledar is another Ukrainian-held town in Donbass, which is under sustained pressure from the Russian armed forces. And there it's, although a much smaller town, quite clear what the strategic value of Vuhledar is, and why the Russians are trying to take control of it is because it's on a little bit of a hill. And if you control the heights there at Vuhledar, then that would in a way make it quite easy to move forward quite swiftly and attack quite important Ukrainian towns such as Kurakovo, also to the west of Donetsk, and perhaps even push on towards Pokrovsk, which would be a city that the Russians would have to take if they were ever to fulfill their ambition of taking the whole of Donetsk region. But at the moment, the Russian armed forces aren't having much success there at all. They had a very disastrous tank battle where they lost a large number of tanks and armoured vehicles. And in the words of Ukrainian commander there, they have also lost and seen so many of their men killed. And for that reason, the intensity of the fighting there at Vuhledar, according to the Ukrainian side, has actually decreased. The Russians have not given up on trying to take the town, but it seems as though they don't really have the manpower to keep up the attack in the way that they were doing a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, our Kyiv correspondent Gulliver Cragg. Gulliver, thanks as always.